Today our topic is modes of transmission. So modes of transmission means how is the communicable disease spreading. Now spreading of communicable disease depends on various factors. Means it includes type of the infectious agents, it includes the portal of entry and the various environmental conditions surrounding the host. Host is the human being. So the transmission occurs when the pathogen or the disease agent moves from its reservoir or the source to the susceptible individual. Susceptible individual is again the human being to which the disease is being caused. So examples can be like AIDS, salmonellosis, hepatitis B. We are talking that these are some common examples where the disease agent has the direct contact with the host or with the individual or with the human being. So presence of multiple transmission routes can also be there. So it enhances the spread of infectious agent, making the disease control more complex. So if we classify the transmission modes, we can say it is on the basis of if the infectious agent is being transferred immediately or directly to the person, or any vehicle or any vector is required for the transfer. So there are two types: direct transmission and indirect transmission. When we are talking of direct transmission, it occurs when the infectious agent is transferred immediately and directly from one person to another. So it can happen through direct contact, means the infected person can come in physical contact with any other person. Means example, skin or any mucous membrane is being exposed to another person, then the disease can be caused. Droplet infection means large respiratory droplets are expelled during coughing, sneezing and talking. Contact with the soil, that is exposure to contaminated soil. Inoculation into the skin through bites, injections or trauma. And transplacental also, that is a transmission from mother to fetus during pregnancy. Indirect transmission means the vehicle or the vector is involved that carries the infectious agent to the host or the human being. So it can be vehicle borne. Vehicle means the transmission can be through contaminated water, food, blood or any other substance. It can be vector borne, that is mechanical or biological. Mechanical means the passive transport by the vectors. Example, flies carrying pathogens on their legs. Biological means the pathogen undergoes development or multiplication inside the body of the vector, that is malaria, which spread through mosquitoes. Then comes your airborne transmission, that is through droplet nuclei or the dust. Formite borne, that is through the transmission of contaminated objects like towel, doorknobs, medical instruments. Then unclean hands and fingers, that is the result of poor hygiene, which is leading to the transfer of pathogens. So we talked that there are two types of transmission: direct transmission and indirect transmission. So now we'll study direct transmission in detail. So direct transmission is when the infectious agent is transferred immediately without any intermediary from the reservoir or the source to the susceptible host. So this mode is rapid and it requires physical contact, close physical contact, and which increases the likelihood of infection due to the higher dose and reduces the survival time outside the host. Means this we talked of infectious agent. That infectious agent is in multiplied form. Okay, it is very strong enough and survival time outside the host is less, so it gets immediately into the body of the host. So there are various types of direct transmission also. Like we have direct contact. Direct contact means the physical interaction of person to person through skin to skin, mucosa to mucosa or mucosa to skin. So common routes include caressing, kissing, any sexual contact or prolonged close proximity. So the disease transmitted through this type of transmission is leprosy, leptospirosis, skin or eye infections, any type of STD or HIV and AIDS. Next is the droplet infection. Droplet infection occurs when saliva or nasopharyngeal secretions are expelled during coughing, sneezing, speaking, or spitting. So droplets may come in directly contact with the eyes. It can come through oral-respiratory mucosa or skin of nearby individuals. Next comes your contact with the soil. Soil means the pathogens are living saprophytically in the soil. Any composed or any decay organic matter which is present in the soil. So when that comes in direct contact with the tissue of the human being, that causes the disease. So examples can be hookworm, tetanus, or any type of fungal infection. Then comes your inoculation into the skin or mucosa, means the infectious agent is being directly introduced into the body through animal bite or through the contaminated needles or syringes. Then comes your transplacental transmission. So the pathogens may cross the placental barrier from mother to fetus. It is also known as the form of vertical transmission because this route is leading to congenital infections or developmental abnormalities. The examples include the torch agents, that is toxoplasma, rubella, cytomegalovirus, and herpes. Other agents are syphilis, hepatitis B, Coxsackie virus, and AIDS. Additionally, these non-infectious substances like thalidomide or diethylstilbestrol, these can also cross the placenta and interfere with the fetal development. So these are some non-infectious substances that are also causing the disease or any abnormality, the congenital abnormality, and certain these disease agents. These are toxoplasma rubella. These also causes the disease to the newborn baby. Next comes our indirect transmission. Indirect transmission means it involves any intermediate vehicle or vector or any surface which comes in the direct contact with the individual. So the disease or infectious agent is not coming in direct contact. The substance is coming in direct contact with the individual. Right? So conditions, what are the key conditions? Key conditions means the infectious agent must remain viable in the external environment. Viable means it should be in its living and active form. It should not be in the dormant state. Next is it must withstand factors such as temperature, humidity, surface type, or any time outside the host. So drug substance resistance in pathogens can also further enhance the survival and transmission potential. Next, in this we have the classic 4 F's, right? So F's are flies, fingers, fomites, food, and fluid, that is water. So categories of indirect transmission includes the vehicle-borne transmission, which is contaminated substances like food, water, milk, blood, or any biological product. Example of a disease is cholera, which is caused due to the contaminated water. The vector-borne transmission, that is mechanical vectors and biological vectors we talked of earlier. Mechanical vectors means they are carrying pathogens passively through biological involvement, means houseflies, they are transferring bacteria from waste to the food. Biological vectors, where we said that pathogen undergoes development or multiplication inside the vector, means the mosquitoes, they have the malarial plasmodium, plasmodium malaria bacteria, and then it is transmitted through the mosquito bite to the human being. The same happens with the dengue. Then comes your airborne transmission. Airborne transmission is droplet nuclei, means tiny particles that remain suspended in air for longer periods. Example is tuberculosis. Dust particles, infected particles of dust are resuspended from the surfaces, means the like fungal spores, which causes the respiratory infections. Next come in this category is fomite borne. Fomite means toggles, utensils, medical instruments, toys. These are certain inanimate objects which can also spread disease or the can pass on the infectious agent from one person to the other. The example is MRSA, which is we are talking, and the example is COVID also. The COVID-19 was also the example, or is also the example, which is also um, transmitted through these inanimate objects. So unclean hands and fingers are next. That is the result of poor hand hygiene that can transfer pathogen from surface to mouth, eyes, or food of the human being. And hepatitis C and diarrhea are transmitted through this type of transmission. Next, we talk of vehicle-borne transmission. So, vehicle-borne transmission refers to the spread of infectious agent through contact with the contaminated substances such as water, food, ice, blood, serum, plasma, or any other biological material like tissues and organs. So, this mode of transmission is significant because many vehicles are consumed universally, like food and water are consumed universally, and these are very common pathways to spread the disease. Next are the mechanism. Like if we are talking of vehicle borne, what is the mechanism of vehicle borne transmission? The infectious agent may multiply within the vehicle before transmission. Example, Staphylococcus aureus. Then be passively carried without multiplying, that is hepatitis A virus. Next comes common diseases transmitted through food and water. So these primarily affect the gastrointestinal system, that will include acute diarrheal diseases, typhoid, cholera, polio, hepatitis A, food poisoning, or any intestinal parasitic infection. So these are transmitted through food and water. When we talk of the blood and biological products, that is transmission is occurring through blood transfusion, organ transplantation, use of contaminated needles, or medical instruments also. And examples are hepatitis B, malaria, syphilis, brucellosis, infectious mononucleosis. These are certain infections which are transmitted through blood and biological products. Next, we talk of vector borne. Vector borne means the arthropod or the live carrier, which can be the mosquito or which can be the snail. And this means that the infectious agent is carried to the susceptible person through any type of vector. So types of vector, again, we are talking of mechanical and biological. Mechanical means transported directly to the human being. It does not multiply inside the body of the vector, while the biological transmission, the multiplication occurs inside the vector's body, and the transmission occurs through any type of bite or saliva or the feces of the vector. So common vectors we have mosquito. Common vectors are mosquito, and mosquito spread the disease. Which disease? Malaria, dengue, filariasis, yellow fever. Ticks are there. Ticks causes Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Fleas causes plague. Sandflies causes leishmaniasis. Triatomine bugs, it causes Chagas disease. Snail causes schistosomiasis. Right? So these are common vectors which causes these type of diseases. So now we, what is the importance of studying this vector-borne diseases? So vector-borne diseases are important from the epidemiological point of view because we have to control the vectors, right? So vector control will control the spread of diseases which we talked of, these like malaria, dengue, filariasis, etc. So what we have to do, what strategies we have to include are that we have to use the insecticides, we have to sanitize our environment, we have to use the protective clothing and bed nets, plus the biological control can also help in controlling the vectors. Next, we come to airborne disease. Airborne transmission refers to spread of infectious agent through particles suspended in the air and which can travel over distances and remain infectious for an extended period. Means it is spreading through air and it is in its active form, right? So respiratory infections particularly and hospital acquired illnesses are two common diseases or two common modes of transmission of certain diseases. When we talk of droplet nuclei means the particles which are very small means they are about 1 to 10 microns only, that remains dried in the form of droplets and they are present in the air. So how are they produced or how are these formed? These are formed naturally by evaporation of droplets expelled during coughing or sneezing, or they may be artificially generated by aerosol producing devices, activities which occur in autopsy room, abattoirs, plants, and any microbiological lab. So there are certain risks involved. So they can be for longer duration into the air. They retain their virulence means their susceptibility to give the disease, and it depends on the environmental conditions. Air currents can carry them far off, and they are very small sized, 1 to 5 microns, and recently we studied 1 to 10 microns. So these are very small, so they can be easily inhaled and they can be easily deposited in the alveoli of the lungs of the human being. So what are the diseases which are transmitted through airborne? Just like TB, influenza, chickenpox, measles, Q fever, and respiratory infections. Next, we talk of dust. Dust can also produce diseases. How? Because dust may contain streptococcus, staphylococcus, any type of virus, any type of fungus, and whenever the favorable temperature and humidity is there, they can survive for longer periods and they can be transmitted to the human being. How? Through speech, coughing, sneezing, and through these type of activities they settle on the floor or furniture or any type of bedding, clothing, linen, and then they mix with the dust and comes in means enters into the body of the host. Then is the re-aerosolization. Aerosolization means particles are resuspended. Means when they are swept off or when the dusting is done or when bed making is being done, the soil and the dust just mix together and the wind carries it all together and then it resuspend into uh, the form which can goes into the human body. So this tuberculosis, pneumonia, these are certain diseases which can be transmitted through this type of transmission. Then comes a fomite bond, that is the substances which can be torch. Which can be torch even means the often the susceptible individual or the human being touches the object it uses, or through the poor hygiene practices the disease is being transferred from any contaminated surface or object to the human being. So common examples are soiled clothes and towels. Soiled means dirty or the infected clothes and towels, bed linen and handkerchief, cup, spoon, drinking glasses, toys, books, pencils, door handles, taps, bathroom chains, medical instruments, syringes. These are all objects. They can be contaminated with any type of infectious secretion. It can be saliva, mucus, blood, or even the feces, and they serve as the vehicle for disease transmission. So what type of diseases are these? Diphtheria, typhoid, dysentery, hepatitis A, eye infection, skin infections. These are all caused by this fomite-borne transmission mode. So now why this is of importance to epidemiologists? It is of very important because we have to follow the disinfection protocol, we have to follow the hand hygiene, we have to follow the proper sterilization of equipments in the hospital, and these all protocols are also means should be followed in the crowded environment like schools and public transport. So there can be so this is the importance why the epidemiologists are studying this fomite type of mode of transmission. So when we are talking in healthcare settings, it is called the nosocomial infections. The hospital acquired infections are called nosocomial infections. Last one is unclean hands and fingers. So unclean hands and fingers are amongst common vehicle. It is transmitting the infectious agent from skin, nose, GI tract, or and they are transferred to the food or any type of surface, or they are directly touching to the mouth. So they are touching the mucosa of the human body, and the disease is being transferred from direct or any type of indirect transmission. So when, if we are talking of hand to mouth contact or touching any membrane, that is direct transmission. If we are contaminating the food, utensil, or any type of surface, or aerosolization occurs, then it is indirect transmission. Again, the common diseases are intestinal parasites, typhoid, diarrhea, hepatitis A, staphylococcal infection, streptococcal, or a dysentery. Now, what are the public health implications? Public health implications means poor personal hygiene, inadequate sanitation increases the risk of transmission. So we have to uh, educate the people. Means the public health professionals have to uh, educate people regarding these protocols like hand hygiene practices, sanitation, good hygiene practices, personal hygiene. So dirty hands are often reflection of neglected hygiene practices. So it should be means they should educate the people in the community, and the community also have to means support the public health professionals at what they are saying, and they should follow it. So if we talk of this means public health implication of disease which is caused by this inadequate personal hygiene is dysentery epidemic in India in 1984, which spread through sanitation lapses and poor hand hygiene practices. So what are the preventive measures? Regular hand washing with soap and clean water, promoting hygiene education in schools and communities, ensuring sanitary food preparation practices, and using gloves or hand sanitizers in healthcare and food service environments. So these are several types of modes of transmission. So we talked of certain modes of transmission which are direct and indirect. So direct, we talked of this direct transmission, direct contact, then droplet infection comes, direct contact with the soil, skin or mucosa, transplacental transmission. So these were the direct transmission modes. And indirect ones are vehicle borne, vector borne, airborne, fomite borne, and unclean hands and fingers. So this is all for the modes of transmission.